tournament style, or?
Yeah, it was tournament style. I think we had a total of 10 or 12 people. Yep.
Okay.
I made it to the final round, of course. Jack, who was highly anticipated to go to the final round, did not make it to the final round.
Oh. He was like number 1 ranked if you had to rank
Yeah,
people?
he was probably number 1 seed, for sure. And yeah, there were some good matches, a lot of unexpected results, including the final. Yeah, it went well.
Did anybody like rage throw a remote control at all?
No, but it got close on the final match. I kept my composure.
There's a lot of yelling.
A lot of yelling going
Yeah,
through
I was
the
in the
office.
next room. It was really loud.
Were you upset and disturbed about
I
what's...
threw stuff at the wall.
Yeah.
Quiet!
That's where the controls were being thrown.
All right. Well, I'm good. I'm glad we know
Somebody
that down.
threw something.
Well, somebody's going to have to throw something then on this episode. We'll
All
figure
right,
it
I'll
out.
throw
Yeah,
something.
I'm sure it'll be
I'm
right.
almost done with this.
All right, we'll figure it out. Hello, everyone tuning in to Facebook and YouTube right now. This is Trends with Benefits. This is our weekly roundtable tech podcast where we gather the experts here at Digital Trends to talk about the big topics of the day. And we are also broadcasting live, well, as I said, on YouTube and Facebook. And that is where we want to hear your opinions. So we want you to be a part of this show and let us know what you think. And today we are pretty much covering everything that Apple announced. I mean, we've spent so much time leading up to this thing. I mean, there has been so much press about it. Now that it's finally happened, I want to know what people actually think. Did it meet the hype, or is it just following way too short of it? I think we've got some varying opinions here today on this staff. One of Nick's articles, I believe, one point you say, how long does it take to perfect an animated 3D turd? That is the opening line, which is one of the greatest opening lines ever.
Apparently, a couple of years at least.
So
I feel like that one's been steaming for a while.
oh, that was good. All right, so we want to hear what your thoughts are as you drop those in there. But let's introduce our cast of characters. I'm Greg Nibbler, and the man who wrote about the turd. To my right, no, the article is
the
amazing.
man who wrote about the turds. My name is Nick Moke. I'm the managing editor at DT, and I think enemy number 1 for Apple fans today. I don't know, based on some of the feedback.
Really,
it hasn't been that bad.
Okay, the comments
I was hoping for more death threats, but
yeah. Well, we still got time. We can see what happens after this one. And to your right,
Neve Jackson, content manager here at DT. I also do a weekly game stream on Wednesdays. I am kind of side with Nick on potential Apple bashing, but I'm going to be nice about it. So
okay.
We'll see how that goes.
Okay. Also, second place in the Capcom versus
That's right.
Marvel competition that went on here. So, and on the end,
I'm Ryan Juanita, associate editor, AV and Entertainment.
voted most likely to throw something during
That's
this
right.
podcast.
Throw
Yes.
it to Sonic can. Yes.
Yes, so
'Cause
that
I'm
could
the only
happen.
one with
That
the
could
Sonic
happen.
can.
All right. Well, we're already getting a lot of opinions coming through here, and this is what I want. I want to see what people think about this, and we're going to go around the room and see what people think, and maybe just we'll go through each topic on its own thing. So let's talk about the iPhone 10, which is so hard not to say iPhone X. And it's not because I don't believe in Roman numerals and that I can't comprehend that. It's just that, they've established this number system forever. So when I see that, I don't see iPhone 10, I see iPhone X. But so I'm trying to retrain myself. I will probably mess that up during this broadcast. But the iPhone 10, we finally get this thing. This is the $1,000 iPhone that we've been promised. So the price did come out as that. Let's take a look at what we got on it, and then we'll kind of analyze that. So we got the OLED screen. Nothing really groundbreaking on that we haven't seen already from a lot of other devices. We've got some, and we'll go back through each one of these. The wireless charging, which that is something kind of new. What are your thoughts on the wireless charging aspect?
I'm going to disagree on the wireless charging.
Not a big.
Do you guys remember the Palm Pre?
The Palm Pre.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to go
So
way
that's
back.
going back a ways.
2009.
That was surprising to me from the article. I didn't know that they had it all the way back then.
And it was stock. Like, you didn't need to buy anything. That you could just
No extra
it
dongles?
charged
Just came with a pad.
wireless.
Yeah.
So the wireless charging was back then, this technology. How come it hasn't proliferated into other devices before now?
Well, it has too. Like the recent Samsung Galaxy devices have it too.
Okay.
So there's a few
has-
different Android phones that do, right?
There's a bunch, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can even get accessory cases for like an existing iPhone that will plug into the
Right.
bottom, and it adds the wireless charging component to the back.
And they're really skinny now. It's just like a little thing. It does hold up, the lightning port, but other than that.
Ian is noting electric shavers have had wireless charging for a decade. We've also got
He's got the fancy
the
electric
fancy
shavers.
I mean, if you're on the top-notch shavers,
Yeah.
Toothbrushes too. Your
That's
electric
above the
toothbrushes.
$30
I
line.
could use that because I lose my cords to my shavers all the time. And taking a look here at what people are saying, let's see. German is talking about the Apple Watch. We're going to get to the Apple Watch here in a second, too. So we'll go through everything. somebody said Jack in the Box opened 2 locations in Cincinnati, so I'm glad we got that update. Just breaking news coming through here. This is what happens when you read the comments live and then realize as soon as you start saying it, I shouldn't have said it. Juan says the iPhone 8 is the most useless device ever, while the iPhone 10 is the best iPhone ever. Okay, so very stark contrast on there.
How does that break down?
I'm
we
not
have to
quite
talk about this later.
Yeah, Juan may need to explain that a little bit more. So keep your comments coming through here as we talk about this.
Hyperbole.
So wireless charging, that is one of the things that they touted as one of the big things they have. The Face ID system. So Face ID. And if you saw the video on this, it's showcasing their new way to open up your phone, their security system. I do like how during the actual presentation it didn't work.
Oh, that was gold. That was amazing. Favorite moment of the presentation.
I mean, I felt bad for that guy because it's instant panic, like, let's do the backup system.
He switched pretty quick to the backup.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was always a possibility because he was like right there with the backup phone.
Yeah, and he spent all night before like going over his speech, like, what if it happens? What if it happens? What do I do? And and it happened.
They announced today why that happened, and they claim it was working as intended.
Yeah.
Because a bunch of people handled the phone before they went on stage, and so it was like trying to do the Face ID with them and rejecting it, and it's set up to basically stop using Face ID after a number of false.
Right, like
so that's really convenient. So if you pass your phone around to people, your phone won't unlock?
Apparently, yeah.
That doesn't bode well.
I mean, maybe you'll be able to set the number of false login attempts or whatever, but I mean, that's a good point. That could be like that could be a hang up. But it's funny that they came out today to be like, it was actually working as intended.
Actually, it was perfect. You guys just don't even know, bro.
You just can't understand it.
Don't even know.
You're not mature enough to get it. So there's, let's see, seeing some of the comments here that come through. It says, still sounds like a fail to me, which, I mean, it does kind of sound like that.
A fail is a fail.
A fail is a fail. Let's see, Jeff is saying, a bunch of comments coming through. So Jeff is saying the price is insane for the old features that Samsung came up with years ago. And that's what I'm seeing a lot of comments on that, a lot of thoughts and opinions. And that's kind of the basis of Nick's article, which came out, which it's fantastic. You can check it out at digitaltrends.com. Just kind of that all of this technology that other companies have already come up with. So why do you think that is? Like, is there anything groundbreaking that Apple has done here at all?
Well, I mean, that's always been Apple's thing. I think my pointing that out in the editorial is certainly not the first time somebody's done that. I mean, Apple has got this reputation for being, they're not the first to it, they do it best.
Yep.
Or, right.
Sure.
But then they call it innovation, and I have to say, like, it's like an innovation within an invention. I mean, I don't know if that's the right word. I was saying maybe we call it re-innovation.
I'll just call it refinement.
Yeah, I know. I'm joking. I'm just saying, but if you want to call it innovation, maybe that's the right word, because it's really not innovative unless it's brand spanking new.
Sure. Yeah.
That's the innovation.
It's just funny to watch the announcement because they have to hype everything up as if they were the first people to do it.
But I just see that as the wrong way to go. Why don't you just say what it is? Under promise, never deliver. We've re-engineered this stuff so it's better than all of the other stuff before, instead of saying, look at all the magic stuff we created. And you talk about that in your article about how 4Ks seem to be like this new thing.
I kind of like your presentation.
Look at the magic things we've done.
I think you have a future as Apple VP.
Yes, I just yell at look at me, I'm magic.
Let's get that black turtleneck going. You're in the money.
They don't do that anymore.
Patrick is kind of agreeing with you that Apple wanted to take the old tech and make it work.
And that's great. I mean, the problem I have with it is not that that's Apple's bag. It's just that Apple keeps saying we're the innovators, and that's not true anymore. I mean, they did it with the AirPods. They were like not even nowhere near the first. And they made people think it. And what they're really doing is speaking to the average Joe who doesn't follow tech like we do.
Right.
People that don't know about this stuff. So they're really common denominating it, if that's a way to say it, to talk about this tech as if it's new and breaking it down for people, which is, you can appreciate that. But at the same time, those of us that have been around are just like, no, that's not new. Their 4K TV is 2 years behind.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that here in a minute. That's definitely.
But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where I would be more appreciative of these cool refinements if they weren't being called innovations.
Sure.
They kind of took that approach a little bit with the OLED screen on the iPhone 10.
That's true.
Because they
well, there's only so
slide
much they can do.
where they were showing like up until now OLED screens have had this, and this, but we made it
well, and they know that
for the outside and whatever. Which also it's a Samsung screen, so they didn't do any of that shit.
And they know that the Samsung Edge has been around forever, and the Edge is a very popular phone. The Note's been doing that forever, so they know they can't get away with those. But it's like whatever they can get away with as like hawking is new, they will.
Taking a look, I want to get to some of the comments here. I'm looking on Facebook, and I'll make sure we're catching up on YouTube as well. But Keelan said they did the same act with MP3 players at the beginning. They weren't the first or even the best at the time. That's true. I had a Zoom, and the Zoom was awesome.
Well, my video iPod totally crapped out on me after like 6 months. I was not happy about that.
You're still holding a grudge about that
Yeah,
one.
I'm not happy.
Juan says, still backing up this new iPhone 10, so he is a staunch supporter of it. Okay, guys, face recognition on the Samsung, not the same on the iPhone. I have a Note 8, and it doesn't always work. But it didn't work even in the presentation.
Apple didn't always work.
I mean, from all we've heard, that theirs is much better technology, as I understand it, and that it's going to work much better. At least we're expecting that.
I do expect that Apple's face ID tech will be better than what's currently on the Samsung devices.
Yeah.
I think it'll be comparable to Windows Hello, though, which is like what you can get with like a Microsoft Surface device, because that's using stereo cameras to kind of take like a 3D, a depth profile of your face. And from what Matt uses that on his, our computing editor uses that on his Surface Notebook, and he claims it's pretty much like instantaneous. He just opens that thing and it goes, which is what Apple is claiming. Yeah, theirs will deliver. So even though that is way less, that's on a lot fewer devices than the Samsung Face ID. I think it seems like Apple's tech is pretty much going to match what Microsoft has with Windows 10 right now.
Okay.
Well, and either way, it doesn't matter because they lead the market. I mean, the AirPods weren't the first. They are a very good device. They were at the top. Yeah, and they were at the top when it came to battery life. Especially their charging case. It's smaller than most, and it has more battery life than most. And that's awesome. And that's why they have 85% of the market share. But also the reason they have that is because they have the name Apple. Right. So it's, I just don't know if there's a necessity to just say, we invented this, ish.
Let's see, a couple questions coming through here. Ryan's asking what happens when Face ID fails. It showed in their video because it actually happened to them on stage.
We learned that very quickly.
Type in the code, right?
You type in your backup code. So that's what's going to happen. Let's see, Patrick's saying, I will miss the home button and worry that swipe is going to be a big fail when getting you back to the home screen. I mean, I've been an Android person the entire time, so I've always had a home button. How big of a deal is this for anybody? Do you guys all use iPhones?
I'm Android.
Okay, so Aniva's with me, but you two both use iPhones. Mm-hmm. Is that going to be a big deal for you? Is that any kind of a deal breaker, or?
I mean, well, the thing is that I won't have to worry about that for 3 or 4 years. I think that the first thing the main thing that I learned.
Come on, Dubs, play along.
Well, no, what I'm saying is like
in a world where you got an iPhone
10. The point being, what I learned at this event is there's lots of ways to get iPhones now. You can buy the 6S for really cheap. They've got the old SE. It used to be there was one phone, and the older ones were kind of defunct. Now the 8 isn't much better than the 7. Like, it's no brainer right now to go in and buy a 7 Plus if you want the camera, or a 7, and you can buy that right now and still have really good technology. So it's really the iPhone 10 is now stretching even more that idea that Apple had, that our stuff is the expensive stuff for the elitists. That's what the 10 is for the people that want to be those super first adopters. And they kind of have gotten away from that. Now they have sort of this collection of phones that they can sort of put up against the cheaper phones from Android. And if you want the best and the brightest from them, you can get the 10.
First adopters of old technology.
Yeah,
and I looked at iPhone 7s on eBay today thinking like, oh, maybe they're going for a song. Not at all. Like still over
pricey.
Like $500, $600 range for a iPhone 7, like the base one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean the older stuff gets cheaper, but not dramatically cheaper. Which, if you are going to buy new, at least that resale value is there for you. Like if you want to upgrade every year, you can still get a pretty good price when you go to sell it when you're done with the phone, provided you haven't completely ruined your phone, as I have.
Yeah, well, and I also got a free 6 because the screen screwed up on my other one. So this is like a 6-month-old 6. So I don't need a phone.
They give you
a
brand new one?
Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
They couldn't reset the screen. They have billions and billions of dollars.
Billions and billions. All right. Well, so that is a good point. That I guess I think they were dropping the prices already, weren't they, on the older iPhones?
About $100, right?
Yeah.
Well, and that can go a long ways when it comes to that. So taking a look here in the chat, let's see. I'm seeing something about Ian getting an LG V30 and Juan saying you can help him out. I would totally be on that train, so I'm jumping myself in there. So let's talk about this, though. The really big thing that comes with the iPhone, and this is the big announcement, Animoji. I mean, obviously, this is this is clearly the groundbreaking tech that they were displaying with their Face ID system, where it will read your face and actually mimic it for the Animoji, as they are calling it. Thoughts on the Animoji?
Why?
I mean, you're joking, but people are going to want to buy this.
People are going to want to buy this. I mean, isn't this what Snapchat's already
Yeah,
done?
why do people do Snapchat
that?
filters? I don't understand it, but people love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Nick, let's get your thoughts on the
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 Animoji thing. That is a little more unique. They were showing the masks, which is like the thing they just shamelessly stole.
No, that was
from
cool.
Snapchat.
That was legit cool.
But those are already, you can do that in Snapchat.
Yeah, but it's I don't know. I haven't seen the Snapchat ones, but it seemed like it was pretty spot on. Like
I mean,
the filters
was,
that he showed.
I mean, if this actually is something where they can map to that, I mean, and use it for more than Animojis, as they're calling it. I mean, that tech is pretty cool. I mean, that seems
I think
like
third-party developers will be able to do other things with that that are more than just novel. And it's, I mean, they kind of throw that out there as an initial use case for the the depth sensing cameras. But I'm sure there's a lot more that developers will be able to do that. Yeah. I hope more than animated 3D emoji.
You know what they didn't talk about?
What?
Battery life.
It's a good point.
They did.
They addressed it with the iPhone 8. They said that they.
Oh, did they say that? Okay.
Yeah, they increased
Never mind,
the battery
I'm
life.
just
I want to see
lying
2 hours, and I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that. I'm not sure.
I feel like they glossed over it because I didn't hear any mention of
What
it.
I would rather them say is not how many cool new things there are, but that this battery lasts for 2 to 3 days. That's what I would.
That's what you would have wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Probably you're not going to hear that for quite a while. Well, all right. So that's covering the iPhone 10, and we do need to get on to some other topics here. But I do see everybody still commenting on that. Let us know. We're still sticking with Apple, though. We're going to the Series 3 Apple Watch, which I'll admit, watching the presentation, I was impressed with it. I did even post. I'm like, okay, they're kind of convinced me on this that I want one. However, if I had taken a minute to actually take a look at this. This is also old tech as well. Is that correct, Nick? I mean, based on what
well, I mean, the LTE calling is. So the big thing with the Watch Series 3 is that you can actually make calls on it. It has connectivity without your phone. It has its own little modem in there, if you will. So yeah, that was done by LG, I believe, in late 2015, 2016. I can't remember. The LG Urbane, I believe, was the watch.
Okay.
That had that. Our own, I think Andy Boxall reviewed that and was a fan of it. But yeah, there have been other watches before that can function as a phone on their own.
So is there anything that Apple's done here that is kind of groundbreaking? Because again, like the presentation, I'm like, that's pretty cool. And if you didn't see it, it's the guy on stage supposedly calls one of his coworkers who's out on a stand-up paddleboard on the lake, and it works fine. And even as she's paddling, like it sounds like the microphone's right on her mouth. I mean, it's pretty incredible sound pickup if that's exactly how it works. I was impressed with it.
Yeah, I mean, I have been the biggest detractor about Apple Watch because I mean, when they say we're leading the watch industry, that's a cool thing, but who buys watches anymore? I mean, it's really a fashion accessory. It used to be that everyone had a watch. Now you have a phone. So to me, the Apple Watch seemed like it was totally, unnecessary. This actually gives me pause because I could connect this to my iPhone 6. I could, ostensibly not buy a new phone for a while, buy this watch and have it on me to take messages and make calls when I need to. You could connect your AirPods to it, I think, and if it gets Spotify instead of just Apple Music, that could be really cool. I mean, it's a $400 watch still, but to be able to go to the beach and have calling accessible, to have email accessible anywhere you go, that is something that appeals to me.
And waterproof and
Absolutely.
all of that.
I'm really curious to see how that performs in the active setting. Like, they show the demo with the guy surfing. Well, can it handle all the salt water and sand and everything else you throw at it? Is it still going to perform well? What about like when you're out hiking and things like that? Like, I want to see this really put through its paces, see the ruggedness of it tested.
I don't know if I'd trust the waterproofing. I certainly wouldn't test it in the ocean, but I mean, even just to be able to leave that on your towel at the beach. I was in Hawaii not too long ago. That would have been awesome. To have that available.
I don't think I'd trust it for $400 sitting on towel.
Yeah, that thing's staying on my wrist.
I mean, I left my phone there in my wallet, so it's all gonna go.
That's true.
One of our DT contributors in the chat channel that we had while we were watching the announcement was mentioning, like, you know, one way to think about this is like maybe you just have a watch now and an iPad.
Absolutely.
Like maybe you don't really need a phone anymore. Maybe in that situation where you actually have something to carry around, you just have an iPad. It's a lot bulkier, but you don't have to bring it with you out to a restaurant or to the beach or on a run or whatever. You just use your watch for situations where you're on the go, and then, you know, when you have a backpack or you're at home, you can have a full-size tablet.
Now, can you use the Apple Watch just as standalone without an actual phone?
You have to have an iPhone 6 or higher to set it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
so
think
they're
that's
not going to let you
that.
just they're
I
not
don't
going to
think
let you
it's
just buy it.
yeah, and it has to piggyback on an existing cell subscription.
Right,
I
you
think.
also-
It's
you also
an
have
extra
to have-
$5 a month, is
which
what
is
they're saying,
really cheap.
which is a good deal for what it is.
I mean, to me, that's a game changer as far as just how we're going to be using tech in the future. If you think about things like the Braggy Dash, which has gesture control, they're totally wireless earbuds that have gesture controls. Sometimes they didn't work very well for me, but you know they're perfecting that. So if you think about that, you could perceivably have that watch open up some sort of menu, move your head around to move through the menu. You could talk to people, you know, from your earbuds. You basically wouldn't need a phone anymore. You know, if it could eventually, you
If
could put
they would let you.
Eventually, think about it. You could put a projector on it. You know, it's putting movies on the wall. This is a real nice step into that next era, which could be phoneless.
Well, we just talked about how like not truly innovative they are. Do you think they would actually like innovate their way into like getting out of the phone market?
Well, the nice thing about those innovations is it doesn't have to be Apple. It's that step forward. People get used to it. Someone else creates a third-party app that does
And
this.
then Apple does the
Somebody
Apple
else
thing to
adds
it.
a patent. Somebody else does
I can
this.
see that working.
I mean, to me, the phoneless future could be really cool. That's about the only thing that could get a watch back on my wrist.
Yeah, I like you're talking about in coordination with the actual headphones that give you, because working on a tiny screen is a huge pain. But
Absolutely.
if you have gestures that you can do with like nodding, or if you just have better voice recognition because of a mic that's up here instead of down here, I mean, that opens a lot of doors.
And just all kinds of apps that you can build around that. About the only thing that you could, that you wouldn't want to do is gaming and stuff like that. But again, like eventually they could put a Pico projector in this thing.
Moving your head around to like move a character on your watch.
It's just looking like
Yeah, that would
There's
be
just
great.
people on the bus that are just like doing this.
What are you doing?
Are you all right, sir?
I'm not headbanging.
We called a hospital. You're having a seizure, sir.
Keelan noting, I can't wait for the eye neck injuries from navigating menus too much. Wow. All right, so that's talking about the Series 3 Apple Watch, and again, I think overall, I would say in this room we're pretty impressed with that.
Yeah, I mean, the other
Where the
thing is,
potentials
even
are.
though the calling isn't new, they've had the best watch. It just seemed like gratuitous to me. What do I really need this for? If my phone is in my backpack, why do I care about this watch?
Right. So this is the next step that we're all kind of looking for, where you don't have to have that.
With a nice piece of hardware and a nice software inside, I think this is a huge step forward. Yeah.
All right. So going from there, let's talk about the other thing that they announced. I mean, of the couple other things, but really the big one, the Apple 4K TV.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, I kind of want to let you take this one away.
Here we go.
Because this is not anything new, correct? I mean,
It's not very new. There are potential ways that this could be really cool for super Apple fans.
Okay.
It will eventually have AirPlay 2, we think, which AirPlay 2 can open up stuff like the ability to create multi-room sound throughout the house over AirPlay 2. We think that it's going to make that easier. It has a potential to work with the Apple HomePod to use your HomeKit stuff really well. The 4K HDR is nothing new, but if you're super into the Apple AirPlay stuff, so you want to send stuff from your phone or any kind of device to your TV through the Apple, if you're in the Apple ecosystem, it's the best device for that. So in all those case scenarios, this could be a really good device. That said, 4K has been around for at least 2 years in streaming devices. You can get cheaper ones from Roku that have all the stuff that the new one has. So yeah, it's not that innovative, but people that are really into the Apple ecosystem may want to look at it.
right. We'll just kind of plug right into
And they've been
this.
holding on to their old Apple TVs.
Yeah.
And
And you're right. That is true. That's something you can't underestimate, is that Apple ecosystem and how much people are involved in that.
Well, if you think about iMessage is one of the few things that's kept me with an iPhone for all this time because it's so easy to use across devices. if they licensed out iMessage, I would really be looking harder at the LG V30 because it's got a way better audio system inside, and it actually has a headphone jack.
Yeah,
so that's kind of cool too.
The LG V30 does look amazing.
I think a lot of people thought that during the announcements we might see a headphone jack return.
I didn't.
No.
I mean, once they cut the cord, that's what they do.
Yeah,
they want to move forward.
No turning back on that one.
So you don't think that they even like gave it a second thought? Like
what I would love for them to do, and I don't think they're ever going to do it, but I would love for them to do something like the V30 does, which is get a bunch of really nice gear in there, really nice headphone amp, and call it the iPhone Music or whatever for audiophiles. But they're not going to do that.
Yeah, that's way too niche for Apple.
It is. It's too niche.
They're going to create the broad things that we can all get.
Yeah.
Something else they did that I did kind of take a look at is some of the speculative patents associated with the 4K TV, and maybe it's the Apple Home Kit, right? Is that what they call their home kit? Home ecosystem is they apparently have a patent out for some kind of a fingerprint scanner remote.
Looks like it's going to have a biometric remote.
Yeah, biometric remote. So I guess
you could buy stuff more easily, I guess, or I don't know.
I'm not really sure if you're already in your house. I mean, what the remote would.
I don't know, and we also have to
really
remember that not all patents see fruition. In fact,
this is
most
true.
do
It's
not.
very true.
So.
You got it. Yeah, you have a point there.
But that could be interesting. I don't know how the biometric sensing would be used. Maybe just to buy stuff.
Yeah, that could very well be it. I suppose that would be a good thing because I do worry about
your kids buying stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazon Alexa. I mean, anybody can hop onto that thing and start ordering stuff. Technically.
Yeah, I'm sure Amazon isn't too worried about that.
Yeah. So all right. So that's the Apple 4K TV. I think that kind of wraps up everything that we're going to talk about at Apple, just because we're starting to run out of time. But final thoughts, though, from you guys. What would you like to see going forward, or what do you wish you would have seen from them? Is there any way that you can sum that up? Because I think overall, I can probably kind of sum up our opinions that the Apple Watch is cool. That's a neat use of tech. The iPhone 10, overall, judging from the thoughts in this room, nothing really innovative there. Although for people commenting and watching, I think if you're already into Apple, or if your name is Juan, you love the iPhone 10, and that is what you want. So I mean, there's going to be a lot of people out there that want to get it for $1,000. I would say no matter what it is.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing. I think moving forward is $1,000 cannot be the new baseline for. Yeah. I mean, it's been creeping up, especially with a lot of high-end Android phones, and $1,000 cannot be the new baseline for a nice phone. That's what I want moving forward, is for that to go back down.
Yeah, half of that would be nice, just as a baseline for a high-end one. But I don't think that's going to go that far down either. Hanif, what about you?
Yeah, I think along with the price point, and then kind of what Ryan was saying as far as them kind of being disingenuous about their innovation, like they're not calling it what it is, a re-innovation. I mean, if you're going to sell me something for $1,000, be honest. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably my big thing about it. And right now it doesn't seem like they are. So yeah, my overall thing, I just wish that maybe next time they're a little bit more straightforward and honest in what they're actually presenting and calling it what it is.
Ooh, I don't know if you're gonna get that from Apple.
They gotta have that razzle dazzle.
So no lower price, no honesty. What are you gonna wish for that won't happen, Dubs?
I think I already said it. I would like a phone with a headphone jack that runs iOS that has a really great headphone amp inside, and I don't think I'm gonna see that either.
Definitely not.
Yeah, for you.
No, we're not getting our Christmas presents.
But yet, that's a concern for you. But yet, you still stick with the iPhone.
Well, I stick with the 6 because I like iMessage, I like iOS, and it still has a headphone jack.
So that outweighs, though, the need for that high-end audio.
Well, I mean, the problem is I'm thinking of jumping ship because I don't want to go to a phone that doesn't have a headphone jack, and high-end audio would be a great way to go.
I'm looking the same direction. I'm not totally sold on the 10, and the V30 looks pretty good.
Yeah, if they could just get iMessaging on the V30, I'd be super stoked.
I think you might have to give up iMessage.
Yeah, I know.
Why can't you go live without iMessage?
I mean, it's just really easy for me to message everybody through my different devices because I have a Mac.
Okay, so you use it from your laptop
all the time.
Again, going back to that Apple ecosystem, if you like it, it's gonna be hard to leave it.
Yep,
you're stuck in there.
They really get you
stuck in the walled garden.
That's how they get you.
Well, there it is. So, I'm taking a look. Just one final chat message here. Aaron says, I plan on getting the 10. I still have a 5S, and I need to upgrade, and I plan on keeping the 10 for 3+ years.
That's going to be a serious upgrade, man.
That's a big, that's a big upgrade. All right, well, I think that's probably about all we have time for today. So, again, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This is Trends with Benefits. We do this every Thursday at 2:30 p.m. So whatever the topic is of the week, we're going to be discussing it here, and we love to have feedback. But we do have the audio podcast available. You can get that on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. So subscribe to that and all of our other shows here at Digital Trends tomorrow between the streams, live at 2 p.m. So join us back here for that, too. And thanks so much for tuning in. Send me a V30, and we'll be back next week with another episode.
Never miss between the streams.
Never miss it.
I never miss it.
I never.